Two NATO soldiers were shot today in Afghanistan as deadly protests in that country continued for the fourth day. Now, what are the Afghans so upset about? Well, last month in Florida, the anti-Muslim pastor Terry Jones decided to put the Quran on trial. What an absurd idea. He claimed he was an impartial judge, even though he had previously threatened to burn a pile of Qurans to protest the plans to build an Islamic community center near Ground Zero. He said he would now burn the Quran only if it was found guilty. Is he not merciful? Look at that, surprise, surprise. It turns out that they did find the Quran guilty. Sentencing options included burning, shredding, drowning, and firing squad. Firing squad is pretty absurd for a book. Only thing more absurd is drowning. How do you drown a book? Anyway, soaking the Quran in kerosene and then burning it apparently won out. Pastor Jones is now considering putting the Islamic prophet Muhammad on trial, as if his first stunt didn't go disastrously enough. Now, here are the consequences of this terrible move. We've seen 4 straight days of protests in Afghanistan. Some of them have been very violent. The protests started on Friday with an attack on a UN compound, which killed 7 UN staff members. All told, at least 20 people have been killed during the protests, and almost 150 people have been wounded. So, look, Pastor Jones is a nut job. Everybody knows it. Was that idea stupid? It was painfully stupid. Everybody tried to talk him out of it, including Petraeus and our defense secretary, and even President Obama made a comment about it. But no, he had to go and do it anyway. We told him it was done. We told him it would have these consequences, and it did. But you know who's crazier? People who kill others based on a book burning. I'm going to say something that's apparently controversial. Who cares? Look, for example, I believe in science. So I think biology is the answer. If you burn a biology book, I wouldn't lose a minute of sleep over it. Okay, you're an idiot. So what? Look, my beliefs are independent of what you think about them. My beliefs don't get their feelings hurt. How weak are your beliefs that you're like, oh my God, somebody offended me, I gotta go kill somebody else? That makes no sense whatsoever. So I know Pastor Jones is a loon, but in this country, you get to be a loon. It's called freedom. Now, if the Afghans don't like that, well, that's too bad for them. We live in a free country, and they should figure that out. But apparently, we wasted over 10 years in that country because they can't even begin to understand that concept. In their worldview, hey, if you disagree with someone, you obviously kill them. Or you kill some random UN official instead. Well, that's not how we do things around here. And look, I don't know what the hell we've been doing in Afghanistan for those 10 years. Apparently, we've made no progress whatsoever. But somebody's going to try to explain it to me. It's Matt Ho. He's a former State Department official who resigned in protest of the war in Afghanistan. Matt is now the director of the Afghanistan Study Group. Matt, look, as I look at the protests, and 2 things jump out at me. First, let's be realistic about this. This isn't just because of a Quran burning, right? I mean, this has to do also with our presence and our occupation there for the last 10 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Cenk, and thanks for having me on this evening. I don't know if I'm the best person to answer your question about what the hell are we doing there, because, you know, myself and many others have been arguing for the better part of the last year and a half, 2 years, that we should be de-escalating the conflict as opposed to escalating the conflict. But it's true. What you just said is absolutely right. This goes farther than just a book burning. This is the Afghan people who have been at war for 30 years, who have seen most of those 30 years include foreign occupation, demonstrating that they're tired of it. They're tired of the occupation. They're tired of the war. They're tired of a select elite of predators, basically, getting rich off of foreign aid money. They're tired of foreign troops, et cetera, et cetera. So what you saw in reaction to, and again, no better word for the guy in Florida than a jerk, was outrage over an occupation and a war that's gone on for 30 years.
You know, as I look at those pictures, so the guy burning the Quran, that's totally wrong. Them burning the other people in effigy, that's totally fine. Look, my mind doesn't comprehend it. So, but that's the problem we have here, isn't it? I mean, we're trying to put our form of democracy on folks who apparently have no interest in it. I mean, can you imagine if you told Afghanistan, okay, from now on anyone can burn anything they like, your country's flag or the Bible or whatever it's called, freedom of speech. How would they take that?
Jake, it's right. You're right. It's a different country, and we're involved in somebody else's civil war there. You know, we escalated this conflict 2 years ago. 2 years ago in March of '09, President Obama sent 20,000 more troops to Afghanistan. And then in December of '09, he sent 30,000 more troops. And all we've seen is the war get worse. And we don't understand what we're doing there. We don't understand society. We don't understand the root causes of the conflict. We don't understand a whole host of things. And what happens and what you're seeing is that our young guys and gals over there who are getting killed still in record numbers are getting caught in the midst of a tribal conflict or an ethnic conflict or a civil war. They're caught in between stuff that resembles Hatfield and McCoy type violence. And it's costing us not just their lives, it's costing us about $120 billion a year. So to go back to your first question, what the hell are we doing there? You know, I think you booked the wrong guest because I can't tell you.
I know, that's why you left. And you're right, it's pointless. It's crazy. All right, Matt, we're out of time, but thanks so much for joining us. Matthew Ho, everybody, thank you so much for joining us, as I said. Okay.
Thanks, Cenk.
All right, look, up next.